How crazy is this thing? This is a 1986 DC400XPL from Gibson. That stands for Explorer. Does this look like an Explorer to you? I remember when I got my first Gibson, which was my favorite Nighthawk. I loved that guitar. I remember thinking to myself, I need a second Gibson. And I saw this on the wall for $599. I want to say I was 14 years old, but I knew with all the black lines and the white binding and this Explorer headstock, the locking system, that this thing meant business. And I need to have it. Besides the fact, for $599, it was the only thing I could afford that said Gibson on it. No one had any idea what this guitar really was. But this came from a time that Gibson was really trying in the 80s to compete with the Charvels and Jacksons that were shredder guitars. There are some really interesting things that are not normal on many of the Gibsons today that you see on, for example, our Charvel Model 6. It has the toggle on and off switches for each one of these pickups. Very shredder style. I remember thinking that this was badass because it was a Les Paul with a locking system. Having done some research, it's not really a Les Paul. It's not even a double cutaway Les Paul, even though it looks like one. It's the XPL series. So this is basically the equivalent of a double cut Aldo Nova. If you don't know what that is, it's a beautiful 80s guitar that's a normal Les Paul that has a Explorer headstock. This came from about that same time of weirdness, and I couldn't love it more. A lot of people said, hey, the Norland era stuff from Gibson sucked. What I can tell you is that Gibson has made crappy guitars and awesome guitars since the dawn of time. Whether it's 1975 or 1995, there are awesome ones and there are crappy ones. I love this guitar, but I will tell you that it systematically fell apart on me when I first got it. I remember working in a music store and begging my manager, Roger, what can I do? And I ran down to this place called Radio Shack. Not sure if you even remember it, but Radio Shack. And they had these toggle switches. And he went and on my lunch break reinstalled these so that I can turn on and off my pickups. This originally came with a Dirty Fingers pickup, which is one of my favorite Gibson pickups, except that it stopped working. It became unwound or something. The switches died, the pickup didn't work. The frets on this guitar were terrible. It's not that they were really beat up or anything, it's just a matter of like the fret profile from this time period, for me, made this guitar always play like poo-poos. I had my buddy refret it a few years ago, and since he's done that, since I put in a Seymour Duncan in this thing and it sounds rad, since I had Roger years ago change these toggle switches, now I love this guitar. But it is an example of a Norland era guitar that, I don't know, it wasn't the greatest quality. I love this guitar the way that it sounds. And besides the fact, an all black double cut Les Paul looking thing, because it's an Explorer, with an Explorer headstock and a Khaler, how cool is that? It's hum single single. You see no Les Pauls with hum single single. Notice anything, guys? Toggle switches, hum single single, locking system. Huh, it's almost like Gibson was trying to appeal to the shredder crowd. So once I changed it, it did become a shredder guitar for me. It's the DC400XPL, and there's been a few different versions of it. There was one with the two humbuckers. There's a few of them that had the Les Paul styles switching, so instead of having these three individual switches, there's a Les Paul three-way toggle. These are rare. I think I've only seen one other one in my entire life on the internet in this configuration, and I've probably seen 3 or 4 total. I have to surmise not that many of these were made. One thing I'll say right off the bat, I love the Khaler over the Floyd Rose because you don't have to like balance this thing, you just change the strings. I never knew what the hate was for the Khaler. Not only is this a better design for idiots like me, you know, for dumb guitar players to change the strings, but I also found when I had Floyd Roses, including this Floyd Rose, they never were quite as responsive as this Khaler was for me. And it's not to say you can't adjust the Floyd Rose, but for me, I just always liked this design better, and maybe because it was my second guitar. So lead pickup. Middle pickup. Neck pickup. the lead pickup also taps, or excuse me, splits. It doesn't tap. Now we can start adding them in. So that's the lead and middle, and the lead is split. Now all three. I always found this guitar so unique for the clean sounds, and I really think that for like I just think it has such a crazy, awesome tone to it. Now, just lead and neck. And by the way, I have a bunch of people going, oh man, you only play power chords or you just play simple stuff. Yeah, I am not pretending to be Jeff Loomis. I am just trying to play these guitars for you so that you can hear them and that you can understand what they sound like. And there's nothing more annoying for me when someone goes, I'm doing a guitar demo, and then as soon as they go to play the guitar, they go into this beautifully slick, recorded shred thing that could be any guitar through any amp, through any sound that doesn't even sound like, you know, they're playing it live, because they're not. They've tracked it, they've EQ'd it. This is me going off my Engel Gigmaster 30, no effects, directly into the amp, playing like a dum-dum sitting right next to you at the Guitar Center. Now let's split the lead pickup. Middle pickup. Damn, that sounds awesome. This guy. All right, let's hear a combination, the lead and middle. All three. Really cool sounds. I always thought that this got like almost stratty kind of sounds, like very interesting, funky kind of tone to it that certainly is not indicative of a Les Paul. I think this thing sounds awesome. I have to say that I didn't play it for years because I hated the way it felt because of the fretboard, but now that it has a working pickup, now that all these three toggle switches work, now that the frets are actually like something usable, I think it has one of the most unique sounds as far as clean, and it reminds me every single time why I like a Khaler better than a Floyd. But the most important thing is, don't forget, it's an Explorer.
Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?